have a storm system that is making its way on up. That's going to bring some rain here, not just today, but as we head into Friday as well, maybe a little bit this weekend we'll get into. And the system's also going to bring a bit of a southerly breeze. That's going to bring in some pretty warm weather as well, especially as we're in the middle of October. And as we start to head into next week, we're going to be cooling a bit more down, and we can see another system roll through in the middle next week, bring a little bit more rain. But let's talk about the rain we're seeing at this moment. You can see here, most of it is off more to the west currently. Looks like these bands haven't been bringing too much of a heavy rain, but we can still see a bit of rain this morning. We have a little pretty narrow band making its way just now north of the Iron Range. And it gets heavier as you get into Kukachin County. That's where we're seeing more of the heavier rain right now. We have the second band moving behind, a little bit faster moving, but again, not very heavy rain with these bands of rain. But just be ready for them as you get out for this morning. Might see a bit more development as we get later into the morning, early afternoon, primarily northern Minnesota. Maybe a few embedded storms can make their way in there as well. And then we're going to see most of that move out. However, we'll continue to see those off and on showers as we head through Thursday and even heading into Friday. And guess what? Even as we get late into Friday, now the rain coverage is going to start to drop off, but you can still see a bit of shower action as that system continues to move off to the northeast as we get later into Friday. When it comes to the rain totals all the way through Saturday morning, where this is where we expect most of the rain to fall, we do expect it to be heavier in northern Minnesota. Some places maybe seeing an inch or more. Overall, probably half an inch to an inch. As you go further south around the Twin Ports, you can see it get more close to half an inch or a little bit less. By the time you get into northwest Wisconsin and even farther south, probably around maybe a tenth of an inch of rain. So rain totals drop off as you head further south, but we do expect to see some rain. And fortunately, if you do want that rain, northern Minnesota is going to be getting most of it. Hopefully get a bit more rain because we're seeing a bit of the drought conditions here in the Northland. And we can see a bit more this weekend. Now, the system is going to be moving on out here, but a secondary system is going to be developing to our south and moving off to the east. But it can bring some showers, especially to northwest Wisconsin and the UP, so as we get into late Saturday, heading into Sunday. And with this system, we're also going to see those winds be picking up. You can see it this morning a bit, but as we go through the day, we'll see some winds gusting over 20 miles per hour out of the southeast. And it's going to pick up a bit more as we get into Friday. In fact, we see them gusting over 30 miles per hour, potentially shifting more out of the southwest as that system really gets close on in. And this is going to bring in warmer weather. Now, today, not going to be very warm at all, but a little bit more mild, especially as you go south along the I-35 corridor. You can see some upper 50s, low 60s, slightly cooler as you head more into the Arrowhead and further east. But we're not going to cool much of any overnight. By the time we get to Friday, highs, especially in northwest Wisconsin, looking upper 60s, even some low 70s in there. As you go to the further northwest, cools down a bit, but still most likely seeing many of us into those 60s. So going to be a pretty mild day as we get to our Friday, but we're not going to be staying on that warm side for long. We're going to be dropping back down to seasonal as we go through the weekend, and especially as we get into the middle of this coming week. Let's see a better view of this. Look at Sunday. We're going to be into the 50s, so it's going to be kind of like yesterday with those high temperatures. So a little bit above the seasonal average, but going to feel pretty comfortable outside, especially because a lot of us are going to expect more sunshine, primarily on the Minnesota side. And then as we start to head into the middle next week, we're going to see those temperatures drop a bit more. We're talking mostly 40s and lower 50s. And this, for the middle of October and actually entering the latter half of October, means pretty seasonal. So we're expecting the seasonal temperatures to return as we get in the middle next week. Again, 40s, 50s for those highs. And the reason why we're seeing the cooler weather move in is because we're going to have another system move in. And that's also going to bring some rain too. You can see a bit as we get late Monday. There's a chance there, but it's probably going to be better off we're seeing rain as we get into Tuesday. And depending on how cool it does get, maybe you can see some flurries mix in there as well. But it's primarily going to be a bit more rain for us. So if you're a fan of more of the warmer side of fall, then today and tomorrow is going to be your day, though it is going to be a little bit, again, on the rainy side. So be ready for that. But as we start to head more into next week, we're going to start cooling on down, and we might see a bit more rain make its way in as well.